نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Continuing on Imām Ghazālī rahmatullahi alayhi's chapter of the etiquettes of how to manage your body against the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He mentioned 7 aspects: the eyes, the ears. Now we're discussing the tongue. I was hoping to finish it all last week, but I don't even think I'll finish them all this week. And then he likens the 7 limbs of yours and guarding them. And he mentions that there are also 7 doors of Jahannam, and to remind yourself that you don't want these to be gateways for you to go to hell. We did eyes and ears last week. This week we're starting with tongue. What's the maqsad of the tongue? What's the purpose that Allah created this lisan? In Arabic, the tongue is called a lisan. And in English, when someone speaks, you listen. So lisan, listen comes from lisan. I'm just kidding. You guys are like gobbling that up. Purpose of the tongue is, number 1, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The maqsad of this tongue is to remember your khaliq, remember your purpose, remember your maqsad. And in Arabic, dhikr is something that we always do. And dhikr, the Prophet ﷺ says, لا يزال لسانك رطبا بذكر الله. Your tongue must always be moist in the reflection and the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's 2 ways a person can do dhikr. Number 1 is that they verbally mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And number 2 is that they're thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're reflecting about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't have to always say Allah's name. Obviously it is good to always have dhikr running on your tongue. You know, it's one good habit to keep is a tasbih in your pocket. Not just on your rear view mirror. That's how I know if I'm parking next to a Muslim or not at Walmart. So try to keep this in your hands. And if you don't like using the tasbih, do tasbih on your fingers. Some people say using the tasbih is bid'ah. How many have heard of this? No, mashallah. No, there's a hadith in Nasa'i that the Sahaba used to count their dhikr on date seeds. When we used to study in madrasa, it might kind of be gross to you guys, but like when we were a kid, we didn't really think that far ahead. They used to have like these boxes of date seeds. I'm sure they washed them. And then they'd put down like hundreds of them, thousands of them on like a dastarkhan. And people would do like this 1,000, like the whole group would do like 5,000, 10,000 afkar on it, right? The whole idea and the goal was that, you know, do as much of dhikr as you can. Hope they were washed, now that I think about it. But if you don't want to, count on your fingers. The Arabs actually had a different way of counting. Does anyone know how the Arabs counted? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think this was 9, 10. And then they would go up to 9,999 like this. So they could do 10,000 dhikrs on their hands. So sometimes you'll see people, they'll be doing dhikr like this. You ever seen someone do the dhikr like that? Yeah, that's because they're counting the way the Arabs used to count. Aqd anamil. Should make a post about that one of the days. Recitation of the Quran. The maqsad of this, the best thing you can recite with your tongue is the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you don't know much Quran, recite Surah Ikhlas over and over again. But the recitation of Quran, it illuminates the heart. And it's the direct words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see people when they're in their cars, or they're listening to music, they're repeating those verses and those lines. They'll say, well, I love Drake, or I love Eminem. I don't know, this Taylor Swift. That's the new one that's out, right? Running the economy, her and Barbie. You have them constantly, people saying their verses and their lines. And then they start to grow attached. Now, just this whole Taylor Swift concert and traveling thing just blows my mind away. I was just reading an article the other day I don't follow Taylor Swift, neither have I heard her nasheeds, her songs, or anything of that sort before. But my Facebook feed does give me things that I think might be usable in my lecture. So I was reading how, like, I think she gave like 6-figure bonuses to her cleaning crew and to her different people and so on and so forth. And I think each tickets are what, like hundreds and hundreds of dollars, right? And the resale of them, and it's insane. And people are willing to give that much because they've been hearing that person for so long. So they have a desire to meet them. And when a person recites Quran often, وجوه يومئذ ناظرة إلى ربها ناظرة. You're going to want to see your Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Day of Judgment. And then you'll hear Allah recite the Quran. In Jannah, we will hear Allah read the Quran. You know, the Sahaba heard the Prophet ﷺ read the Quran. But we all will witness Allah's recitation of the Quran, His actual words. And this is powerful. I was once in a lecture of Mufti Sayyid Ahmad Balampuri rahmatullahi alayhi, one of the greatest scholars of the last century, especially the second half. And he mentioned something very, very interesting. He quoted, I believe, Maulana Qasim Nanoti rahmatullahi alayhi or Shah Waliullah, and he said that the previous scriptures were not verbatim words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That only the Quran is the verbatim, word for word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The previous nations didn't get this. And that is why Allah says, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. That we revealed this dhikr, this Quran. And Allah calls this Quran what? Dhikr. Allah has different names for this Quran. And one of them is dhikr, the reminder, the remembrance. And Allah says, أُولَٰئِكَ أَهْلُ اللَّهِ. The Prophet ﷺ says, أُولَٰئِكَ أَهْلُ اللَّهِ وَخَاصَّةُ. The ones who constantly read Quran, they're Allah's VIP. They're His khas people. They're His special people. They're Allah's ahl. Ahl is like family, the squad, the inner group, the inner crew. أُولَٰئِكَ أَهْلُ اللَّهِ. إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَالَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَرْفَعُ بِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ أَقْوَامًا وَيَضَعُ بِهَا الْآخَرِينَ. With this kitab, Allah gives people stations and honor, and He degrades them. I had a friend, and he read Quran all the time. And I was a fresh graduate at that time, and me and him had a really long-standing debate. I was like, it's great you're reading Quran, but there's other dhikrs and other things you should do as well. And he said, this is the best. I said, no doubt about it. This is the best thing. I was like, but every main course needs some appetizers and desserts too. I said, you can't just have always the main course. And we disagreed on that. But he never stopped reading Quran a lot. And in our entire friend group, at least from a worldly perspective, no one did Allah bless more than him. Talking about millions and millions and millions. One time he came to Dallas to visit me after he hit his peak. So I said, I'll go pick you up from the airport. He said, no, I'm gonna rent a car, this. And I said, where are you gonna spend money? And that day he just told me on the phone, he said, I don't have to work again in my life. And I was just like, that guy loved money. So for him to say that was mind-blowing to me. And then he explained what happened and all of these things, but I tied it back to his ta'alluq with the Quran, his constant reading of the Quran. And if you cannot read, listen to the Quran. The Quran it's a powerful mechanism. It's the greatest way you're going to be able to connect with your Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this earthly life of yours. And understand the Quran. Understand the Quran. We have our Arabic class coming up this Saturday. Enroll in it. There's nothing better than understanding the Kitab of Allah. Yesterday it was yesterday or the day before? Was it yesterday? Monday? Yeah, yesterday I was at the masjid. The Imam was reciting. And he made a mistake. And even though I don't know those surahs and I'm not a hafiz, but you could just tell from the flow that no, this man made a mistake at that time. came back, we redid it, and then he fixed it. But you can like, it's different. I seldom listen to lectures. Listening to the qiraat and salah is sufficient to slap me in the face and tell me, Sida ho jao. That's sufficient for me. So recitation of the Quran, guiding people. Our purpose is, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. That's the ayah he forgot yesterday, by the way. You are the best of people. أخرجت للناس. You are there for the people. You are there for the people. Your wajah, your purpose, your maqsad in this life is to make a difference. I was sitting with one of my students, my early Frisco day students. Now he's mashallah becoming a lawyer, getting married this week. Walima's this week, and the nikah already happened. And he's one of the brightest minds that I have seen ever. Not just like, usually I talk all the time and people listen. Him, he just keeps on rambling and I sit there listening. Because I enjoy, and there's so many things he knows and he says that I have no, like, it inspires me to. He's very well read up. He gave me donated his law books over there. So when he's becoming a lawyer, there's extra law books over there for your LSAT. He said something very interesting to me. We're talking about Pakistan. And he's like really big into like, Pakistan and this whole like, Jang-e-Azadi, like we were made on the 27th of Ramadan, Qaid-e-Azam, and like we are the generation that's going to make a difference. But we never made it. We never ended up doing it. It was a great idea that never came to fruition. Why? Because people stopped focusing on making a difference in other people's lives and started focusing on how can I fill my own nafs. The system destroys itself. Any system destroys itself when you are focusing on yourself above other people. The goal and the mentality should always be, how can I benefit myself and all those around me? How can I make a difference? Iqbal says, उक़ाब रूह बेदार होती है जब नौजवानों में, उक़ाब रूह बेदार होती है जब नौजवानों में, तो दिखती है अपनी मंजिल उनको आसमानों में. He says when the falcon, the phoenix rises, the passion, the inspiration, motivation rises in the young generation, then they see their goals not on earth anymore. They see it in the heavens. Their vision soars high. You have so much potential in you. I was once when I first started teaching, one of the earliest students I had was the students at Rutgers University. It was the first MSA that I had interaction with. And it was a thing that I used to always say, right? Like there's certain taqiyya kalams we say all the time. And I would say that I believe that there's somebody in this room that can make a difference. I believe that there's someone in this room that can change the world, that can find a cure for this disease or, bring this difference. Years later, turns out that 4 kids from there, 2 boys, 2 girls, then they end up crisscross marrying each other too. They started something called Roshni Rides. I don't know if you ever heard of Roshni Rides. I think even the UN and them, they won the first prize. They were funded I think $1 million or something. And their whole goal was what? They're poor people that are struggling to get to work. How do we make their, rickshaws or whatever, electric or solar? It was on transport. And they came with the vision to change the world. All of this that you see around us was somebody with a vision to change the world. They changed it for their nafs. We have to change it for the akhirah of other people. And one of the signs that this is instilled inside you is that Mawlana Yasir rahmatullahi alayhi, he was a person who called people to Allah day and night. But after calling people to Allah day and night, at nighttime, he would be making dua for those people by name. You don't really care about making a difference and changing people unless you're taking time out and making dua for them. This is a reminder for myself. One of my friends, Mona Shoy Burdock, you guys see him, you guys know him. Someone called him and said, Sheikh, I really miss you and I love you. You know, his personality is like, very like, he's like, even if you wanted, you couldn't hate me. The guy was like, you know, what do you mean? He's like, every day I take your name in tahajjud. I do dua. How can you hate me when I talk about you to Allah? Who talk about, Ya Allah, ye ladka de de, Ya Allah, ye ladki de de. This boy, that girl. Do fikr of the ummah. Who is going to care about this ummah? Who's going to care about it? Who's going to care about the kids outside that are drinking? Who's going to care about the sisters outside whose izzah is being looted? Who's going to care about the brothers outside who are falling to temptations, who are in drugs? Who's going to care about it? This is our reach. Our hand can reach so far. You have to be the hand that will guide other people. We are not the only people. Each one of you is a representative of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophethood finished, but the work of prophethood did not. And that's what the Sahaba did. You go 3 days to Medina, 4 days to Medina Munawwara, and your heart is sold in Medina and you don't want to leave. Imagine the people who saw Sahib in Medina. You love Medina after the man is under the ground and your heart is sold on it. Imagine the people who witnessed him and who are Ahlul Medina and who built the very Medina whose spirituality lasts today. And when Nabi alayhi salam passed away, imagine how broken their hearts were. Jannatul Baqi' out of 124,000 plus Sahaba, how many are buried in Medina Munawwara? 10,000. Where did the rest 100,000 plus go? Shurahbil ibn Hassan radiallahu anhu, buried in Jordan. Abdurrahman bin Auf radiallahu anhu, buried in Jordan. Abu Ubaidah bin al-Jarrah radiallahu anhu, buried in Jordan. Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu, buried in Syria. Qutb bin Abbas radiallahu anhu, buried in Uzbekistan. Amr bin al-As radiallahu anhu, buried in Egypt. Sahaba scattered everywhere. Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu, buried in Basra. Scattered. Sahaba buried in India. The name, it slips my mind. Malik bin Dinar. Was that him? Sahabi was buried in India. Someone look it up. Inshallah. They broke their hearts, they left the city because they knew they had a mission. The mission of the man was more important. And we're just uncomfortable in saying something to somebody. What if they don't like me? Is their heart in your hand or Allah's hand? Be an agent of saying good, but with wisdom. Not look at them and be like, yeah, you have the face of a Jahannami. You change your life now. Not like this. Not like this. With hikmah, with wisdom. Be like silk. Mawlana Tanwir Rahmatullahi says, be like silk. Firm, but gentle in the hands of people. May Allah make us amongst them. Express your worldly and religious needs. The maqsad of the tongue is ask questions. Ala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa husnu su'ali nisful ilmi. A good question is half of knowledge. There's a different vibe in a class, in a group of people, where people ask questions. And then you can tell the caliber of the students and of the community by the questions they ask. Seeking this type of knowledge is questioning. This is an integral maqsad of this tongue. And then if you need other things, your tongue, ask other people. That's okay. However, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said people are thrown into hell because of this tongue. This tongue flings them. It's like a slingshot, and it's barred behind 32 bars. It's jailed behind 32 bars. Do you guys know all the names of your teeth? No? How many of you know all the names of your teeth? One person, halfway. It's like half the teeth I have, the other I don't. Danton ki taadad kurti surdo tanaya hai char, rubai hai do. Hai aniya ab char aur baqi rahe 20. No. We learned this in. Marana, you learned this in this Silat Tajweed? Danton ki taadad kurti surdo tanaya hai char, rubai hai do. Anyway, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a man may utter a single word and he may be hurled into the depths of Jahannam at a distance of 70 years. One word. And the power of this tongue is so much that it says one sentence and for infinity it is saved. And it says one sentence and for infinity it is damned. That's the power of this tongue. The power of this tongue is that one statement they say, qubul hai, the rishta becomes halal. And the power of this tongue is with one word, talaq, and the rishta is broken. Does Sharia not understand you have kids and you have this and you have temper, you have this? No. What does Sharia do? This tongue has a powerful weight to it. You can't just say things and not be held accountable for it. So Sharia holds you accountable for even one word that you say, that you utter. Think about it, it's powerful. You say something, Sharia doesn't chalk it off as oh no, you need to go and have a document or something. No, if I come to you and I tell you, this laptop is yours, and you come and you grab it right now, this is the hukm of hiba, gift. It's yours now. Whether I signed a document, it is your milkiya now. That's the power of words. Words are powerful. The Prophet ﷺ was told that there was a man who became martyred. Shaheed. Blood dripping, body slain, guts gushing out. The Sahaba said, this man is a Jannati. And Nabi ﷺ said, how can you say that? Perhaps he said something that didn't concern him. Perhaps he held back wealth that he should have donated. One of the ahadith that are considered to be amongst the 4 ahadith that the whole deen can be summarized in is what? Anyone know? Min husni Islam al-mar'i tarkuhu ma la ya'ni. If you want to see the beauty of a person's iman, they don't talk about what doesn't concern them. My Ustad Hazrat Mufti Sahib was a master of this. As the ocean of knowledge he was, and as much as I love him and I talk about him, Mufti Al-Haq Sahib, he was the complete opposite of me. He was tall, I'm short. He has blue eyes, I have generic eyes. He didn't talk a lot. You could literally sit an hour by him and it would be sitting in silence. You ask a question, he answers briefly. He was an ocean. He could have kept on going. His lectures, his majlis, this is where I do my majlis because he did his majlis. And it's a continuation of our ustad. That's why it's like so special for me. He did it Sunday mornings, but like, how many of us are going to get up next? And he would make breakfast for everybody at Tahajjud time. Hazrat made breakfast himself for all of his mehman. Mufti Sahib ate the same, his family lives in Pakistan. He's alone. He eats the same food the madrasa students eat. And to give you an idea, I could not eat that food. I would have kids cook for me, the Malaysians, Indonesians. Like noodle wave, yeah, I know the whole menu. I grew up eating that stuff. And there's a Malaysian Jamaat in, I think, IACC. I came and said, apa kabar, bai, nasi goreng. Oh, and they got so excited, right? I only know like 5 lines, but still, they think I know a lot more than that. Mufti Sahib ate that for over 30 years. Madrasa food. For the beginning times, he would go himself and pick it up until one of the people were like, bye, Mufti shouldn't come all the way to the mess. Let's send it. And Mufti doesn't waste food. And then at the end of the week, he does a mega mix of all the 7 dishes, 6 dishes. So that curry will have dal in it, chicken in it, beef in it, whatever it is. And he'd make it at Tahajjud time. He sleeps only a few hours a night, 4 hours or something. He wakes up at Tahajjud. I traveled with him in China. He can't see with, I believe, the right eye, and he can see 25% with the left eye. This was like over a decade ago. Now I don't know. He has glaucoma and other. I swear to Allah, I would observe this. The moment Tahajjud time kicked in, He'd get up, look at his watch. I think it was glow in the dark. He'd get up, quietly do his wudu, and pray his tahajjud. Anyhow, his majlis, you know how you guys are sitting down over here like this? There would be scholars with white hair, giants from other institutes that would come to listen to Mufti. And Mufti would tell other people, when I go, he says, Wasim Khan, ab bayan kare. He says, no, America ke ahwal sunay. Tell us about America. And when he would be his turn to speak, 15, 20 minutes. And come into my office and see the library and the volumes of work that he's authored. He had mastered it. I don't know how to explain, like, seeing people who lived it. They lived this philosophy. It comes about the Prophet ﷺ, Kathirus Samt. He was a man who had prolonged silence, and he lived by it. Mufti didn't talk to anyone, just did his thing. I'm gonna go on a really bad tangent now. Lying. Protect the tongue from 7 things. Number 1, lying. La'natullahi ala al-kadhibi. The scholars differ. What is the difference between a minor sin and a major sin? And one of the things that they said was that anywhere in the Quran or Hadith Allah curses someone, that's a major sin. Not many sins does Allah say la'natullah alayk. And what does la'na mean? What is la'na? People say la'natu isbar. Right? No. But la'nat is what? What does la'na mean? Can someone curse? Yeah, that's like translation. Huh?
Like Allah's curses upon them.
Okay, but what is that?
Like
That's like saying what do you call, I asked you that, what is Walmart? It's a grocery store. What's a grocery store? It's Walmart.
Place in hellfire?
Huh?
La'na.
Place in hellfire?
Remove from our feet.
Very good. La'na is deprivation of the rahmat of Allah, the mercy of Allah. When a person lies, a stench comes out of their mouth. And the malaika of rahmah and goodness to go far away. And the Prophet ﷺ says, Inna rajul la yastuqa hatta yuktab inda Allah suduqa. Person keeps on saying the truth, keeps on saying the truth, keeps on saying the truth, until Allah deems them an honest individual. Wa inna rajul la yakdib hatta yuktab inda Allah kadaba. And a person keeps on capping. Allah says, Yetu kapper. This is the biggest liar there is. Chuta insan. Kadab. Don't lie. Some people, it's built into them. They can't help it. They have to lie about everything. I've met compulsive liars. And it's an addiction, like other addictions. I've seen it. Like, no matter how much you're trying to get the truth out of them, you can't. They're just compulsive liars. So guard this tongue from lying. If you are prey to this, if you are a victim to this, every time you lie, give sadaqah. Give $5. Feel the pain. Feel the weight of your words. وَمَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. Nothing is uttered, but they're just waiting. You know, you have that person in the group chat that's like really good at screenshotting. I delete it, they get it no matter what. Those malaika raqib, they're waiting. They're waiting to capture that. Breaking a promise. It's become so normal and casual. The words of people no longer have value. Breaking a promise. People give me all of these promises my entire life. You hear this, and I take it. Don't make a promise that you can't keep. ثَلَاثٌ مَنْ كُنَّ فِيهِ. Whoever has this in them. وَإِن صَلَّى وَإِن صَامَ. Even if they pray, they're fast, they're munafiq. وَإِذَا وَعَدَ أَخْلَفَ. They promise, they break their promise. There's 3 types of oaths. Yamin al-lahu. The Hanafis say Yamin al-lahu is the one that, you say that, Wallahi, I drank chai. I thought it was chai, but it was actually coffee. Right? But I genuinely thought it was chai. So I believed it to be true, but it was wrong. The Hanafis call this Yamin al-lahu. لا يؤاخذكم الله باللغو في أيمانكم. Allah says He doesn't hold you accountable for Yamin al-lahu. This Allah forgives. The Shafis is those Wallah bros. Wallah, 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 Tawallahi, Billahi, Tallahi. Every second word is Wallah. Even their username is Wallahi. Arab bros. Right? They just constantly Zaman par hai. Allah ni kasam, Allah ni kasam. Quran Pak ki kasam. Right? And another thing, an oath can only be on Allah, nothing else, not even on the Quran. You cannot take an oath on the Quran. It is not permissible. Only on Allah. Putting the hand on the Quran, that, not allowed to. The only one who can take oath on something other than Allah is Allah. Yasin, wal Qur'an al-Hakim, wal Qur'ani. Are we under attack? This brother just looked and just went back. Bhai, mard bano.
Oh, there was a donation.
Okay, alhamdulillah. In Texas, you always keep vigilant eyes. And especially the one who's sitting in the corner over there by the darwaza. If you're the one who's like, Arey bhai, hamari jaan khatam ho jayegi. The Shafis consider this the person who says Wallah all the time. The Shafis consider that Yamin to be Yamin al-lahu. Then you have Yamin al-Ghamus. Ghamus comes from the Arabic word Ghamasa. What does Ghamasa mean? Ghams. That's khams. Good though. That was good. But in Arabic level 2, inshallah, we would teach you the difference in all of those words. Yamin al-Ghamus is when you drown. And that is because this oath, there is no expiation for it. The only result of this oath is you drown in sin. That's it. There is no expiation to this. And that is you lie on purpose on a past oath. Wallahi, XYZ thing, and you knowingly lie. May Allah forgive any oaths that were taken like this. There's no expiation for this. There's no way out of it. It's only sin. And tawbah, obviously. And the last one is Yameen Mun'aqida. And that's an oath of the future. Wallahi, I'll do this. Wallahi, I'll do that. If you break it, then you have to give kafara. Kafara is in this order. Number 1, feed 10 people from what you eat. About $30 to $50. That's what you're gonna. If you go to my kolache and all of that, then it's different. If you can't, then clothe 10 people. Technically, this would be more expensive than that, but times are different, right? Free a slave. فَمَنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ. Whoever cannot do the above 3, then and only then you can fast 3 days. You'll say fast 2 days, fast 2 days. No, bro. You gotta give some money first. If you can't, then give clothes. No slaves left. You fast 3 days. This doesn't start off with that. And sometimes you have to break your oath. Ya ayyuhan nabi, lima tuhaddimu ma ahalla Allahu lak, tabtaghi mardata azwajik. When the Prophet took an oath, I'm not going to eat honey again. After the incident with his spouse, Allah said, break your oath. Break your oath. And the Prophet then did the kafara expiation. Sometimes you have to. There's ways around this, and there's little loopholes and oaths of shart and all of that stuff that you'll cover in our hikmah class that is on Thursdays, starting from next week, called the history and evolution of fiqh, usul al-fiqh. You can find it on Linktree /. Backbiting. What is backbiting? What is ghiba? ذكر العيب في حالة الغيب. Mentioning a defect of someone when they're not present. So it says, what if it's true? The Prophet, the Sahaba asked it, what if it's true? He said, that is ghiba. If it's not true, it's buhtan, it's slander. It's even worse. It's even worse. If it's true, that's bad. If it's not true, it's even ghiba is when things are true. And then you have like the very bayhaya people who will be like, hey, I can even say it to their face. That's up to you. Like if you have no haya and you can go and say to somebody's face, doesn't make it's okay saying it behind their back. जब तीर लगा था तो इतना दर्द ना हुआ गालिब जब तीर लगा था तो इतना दर्द ना हुआ गालिब जख्म का एहसास तब हुआ जब कमान देखी अपनों के हाथ में. It's usually your own that backbite you. The people that are the closest to you that backbite you. And Imam Hanifa rahmatullahi says, if I would backbite anybody, I would backbite my mom so that she could get my reward. I mean, I have to backbite their parents anyway, without knowing that their rewards are going. Now, ghiba can be in few ways. Number one is that you insinuate. What does insinuating mean? For example, Trevor over here leaves, and we all know when he gets up and goes, I say, some people, may Allah make it easy on them. They are just always stealing and always, robbing things. May Allah protect us from this. I didn't take his name, but everybody knows who walked. Oh, I'm not going to mention the person. People know that it's the same. It's tantamount. It's the same ghiba. You know who it is. It's ahli dhanni. It's in your mind. You know who the person is. That still constitutes a ghiba. When you do ghiba, Allah releases the tongues of other people upon you. And people start talking ill of you and negative of you. May Allah protect us from this. There's a lot of da'if narrations, but nevertheless, we use them for fadail. Al-ghibatu ashaddu min az-zina. Ghiba is worse than adultery. Though it's a weak narration, but it holds merit. Why? A person commits zina once, and they get forgiven. But the one who's committing ghiba and talking about them, does it for decades. Literally, I was counseling someone the other day. And this brother, to be honest with you, I don't even know the depth of the sin. But it was committed 30 years ago. Even though it was legal. Till this day, like the ones who prayed tahajjud, this guy doesn't pray salah. But the other ones who pray tahajjud and everything else, they still talk negatively and bring this up. And when it came to me, I was just like, I don't want to hear this. I want to hear a person's sins. I have a ton of my own that I have to worry about. And I'm hoping that Allah conceals those. Don't expose somebody else's gunas, someone's sins to me. And some people relish in it. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن. O you who believe, avoid dhan. What does dhan mean? Like, suspicion. This person looks sus. اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن إن بعض الظن إثم. Some dhan, suspicion, is sin. ولا تجسسوا. Because when you start thinking someone is sus, then you're going to start preying on their profile. When you start preying, then what happens? ولا تجسسوا. You're going to end up finding faults because every person sitting in this room is drenched with faults. No person is pure of defects here. When you look for someone's fault, you'll find it. And then when you find that fault, what's the next thing? وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا. Don't backpit one another. So Allah starts. It starts with here, suspicion. Then it goes to looking for the fault. And then it goes to ghiba. ولا تجسسوا ولا يغتب بعضكم بعضا أيحب أحدكم أن يأكل لحم أخيه ميتا فكرهتموه. Would any of you like to eat the flesh of your brother? فكرهتموه. You wouldn't. We'll sit there. Is the food halal? Is the conversation halal? You're doing zabihah of your brother there. Zabihah of your sister over there. Now, there's more hermeneutics in this verse of أَيُحِبُّ أَحَدُكُمْ أَن يَأْكُلَ لَحْمَ أَخِيهِ مَيْتًا فَكَرِهْتُمُوهُ. that Allah brings us as plural, whereas ayuhibbu is singular, ahadukum is singular, lahma akhihi mayta is singular, fakarihtumu. Why? Because the person who's not backbiting says, well, I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. Prophet ﷺ said, you're the worst because you were the ear. Without the ear, this person was thinking out loud. And if you don't eat in the meat of a human being, cannibal, have you ever seen YouTube videos of people, like cannibal videos? Have you guys ever seen those things? Those videos? Y'all are weird, whoever did see it. Like, the way some of y'all were like nodding your heads and stuff. Like, this was just a test. I don't even know if that stuff is allowed on YouTube. You're on some like dark YouTube, dark web. You get out of that incognito mode. So you see someone doing that stuff. You ever seen someone like eating something like that just looks disgusting and you're just like, it looks disgusting to you? Like you see people slurping mussels. Right? I've had it once in my life just to. When is backbiting allowed? I was in Cape Town. I was like kind of shafi that day. It is permissible for the one who has been wronged to complain to the ruler or judge, the authority, to settle the score. So you can't go to someone and be like, you know, this person, they stole my money. Who is it? I don't want to do khiba. I'm going to find the guy then. Well, this is okay, right? That's fine. Seeking help to change evil and bringing the sinner back to the right path. So he may say to the one who hopes he is able to do something, so and so is doing such and such, tell him not to do it. Right? That's the maqsad of it. Sometimes people like, they get a little overzealous. You know, our tablighi, but you know, the tablighi jamaat, we like them. Sometimes they're a little overzealous. One time, they went to someone's house, they knocked on the door, the brother opened their door, he said, देखिए भाई देखो अल्लाह के रास्ते में निकले आप, come in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, लोगों की जिंदगी बदल जाती है, people's lives change, जो गुनहगार होता है वो नेक बन जाता है, the one who's a sinner becomes good. देखिए ये हमारा भाई जो था, ये शराबी था, ये जानी था, ये चोर था, ये कबाबी था, he's going out there exposing the guy left and right, that this guy was an adulteress, he was a sinner, he was a thief, and the guy's like, bro, like, why are you exposing me? I get it, my life has changed, but you don't have to sit there and like, say all of these things. So, yes, and especially with like your asatida, your scholars who are there to help and change people. Like even to a point if someone tells you, don't mention my name. In the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when Sahabi came, they came and asked him a question, then they said that, ask the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but if he asks us who it is, don't tell him. He came, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, who is it? Immediately he said it. Why? It's because the maqsad, that person's not taking it for the tea. They're taking it because their goal is that how can I help this person at another point or junction in their life. Seeking advice or a fatwa to the mufti. So my father, my brother has wronged me by doing such and such. Does he have the right to do that? How can I solve this problem? Istifta. This is called istifta. This is permissible. Nawawi mentions this, by the way, all 6 of these. Warning the Muslims of someone's evil, such as highlighting the weakness of some reporters or witnesses. It happens in hadith, right? They'll be like, this person, Dajjal, Kadhab. This man was a Dajjal of liars. If you ever read the hadith books, when we do the Usul al-Hadith class, part of the Hikmah seminary, in our 2-year seminary program, when we do the Usul al-Hadith program, we'll go through like how they kind of rated different narrators. It's actually kind of funny. Like, you know, they would be like, this person is the greatest liar under the sun, under the, you know, skies. No mother could give birth, bigger liar. Like, they get really, really rough at time, right? That he's a shaitan, he's this, he's that. It's actually kind of amusing. Someone buying faulty goods, someone keeping company with one who is a thief or adulterer, or giving a female relative of his to such a man in marriage and the like. You should tell them about that in sincere advice, not with the aim of causing harm. This I do want to mention, that if you are put in a position to give advice on a rishta, you don't have to go expose the person. You can just say, I don't think it's a good idea, or I think it's a good idea. Going around and taking out the faults of that person is not right. There was a girl who committed zina. She made a mistake, she did adultery. And whenever somebody came for rishta to her house, her parents were like, a beautiful girl, mashallah, really good, mashallah, pious, very good, mashallah, makes samosas, excellent, rotis around, perfect. And they'll be like, yeah, but then she committed zina. They'd be like, oh, astaghfirullah, and just leave. Every rishta is just coming out there, and these guys are, you know, really honest people. They went to Sayyidina Umar bin al-Khattab, Amir al-Mu'mineen, we need your help with rishta. And he's like, okay, what's going on? He says, great girl, amazing qualities, but when we tell people she did zina, people don't want to marry her. Amir al-Mu'mineen, radiallahu anhu, says, the next time you tell someone that she did zina, I'm going to beat you myself. He said, Allah covered her sins. Why are you going exposing? And that's why you shouldn't ask people about their past. What's important for me. Okay. What are you going to do with it? It's going to be in the back of your mind the whole time. And you use it against someone. The exposing of sins, even in those type of relationships, it shouldn't be. I know it's our culture now, that people like to ask these questions. But this is not the prophetic way. This isn't the sunnah way. If a person openly commits an evil or follows a bid'ah, once you post it on TikTok and Instagram, you can be backbited all you want, because now you're considered a fasiq. If you post a sin of yours on social media, you are a fasiq. You're classified, a fasiq is an open sinner. And the moment you're classified as an open sinner, a person who sins openly, you lose the veil that Islam grants to people of them not being exposed or them being called out. Number 6 for identification, if someone is known, Sufyan al-Thawri, rahimahullah, Thawr means a cow, right? He's called like the cow. And that's because one day he entered the masjid with his left foot and he heard a sound say that, oh cow. As it would say, bed, right? Oh cow, stuck with your right foot. And he just kept that with his name. There were people who, they have certain, some people who have nicknames, Stubby, Walrus, Cockroach, whatever. Everyone got their own little nicknames. And people don't mind them, they don't consider them bad. And that's okay. Hatim al-Asam was a great hadith scholar who was known as Hatim the Deaf One. And it's actually a crazy story. It's one of my favorite stories of Hatim. He was sitting down. We don't have time. Some other time. I just want to finish this off so that at least we did one of these. I was trying to finish a lot of them today, but okay. Debating, argumentative. Those Dawah Man type of videos, Muslim skeptic type of videos online, where you're just watching and doing these things because you just like that heat, that debating, you just like those argumentative things. That's not what ilm is supposed to do. Ilm isn't supposed to make you cancel other people. Ilm is supposed to be your guardian first and foremost. Teach you what you don't know. Not that imam is doing this wrong and this person is doing that wrong and their thing is this way. No, you're not there for the debate. That's not the maqsad of your knowledge or your ilm. The Prophet ﷺ says, whoever leaves a quarrel while he is in the wrong, Allah will build him a house in the outskirts of Jannah. And whoever leaves an argument when he is right, Allah will build him a house in the highest parts of paradise. A person who makes a mistake and he knows that he is wrong and he asks for forgiveness. This is an honest person. A person who makes a mistake and is not sure whether he's wrong or not, but still apologizes. This is a cautious person. And a person who knows 1,000% he is right. And he didn't do anything wrong, but he still apologizes, that is a husband. I see you guys writing notes and all of that stuff down over there. Frown like that. Boosting yourself. Do not ascribe, Allah says in the Quran, do not ascribe goodness to yourselves. He is more knowing of the one who is God-fearing. Sorry man, I've been so tired since the morning. Tahajjud, getting up for tahajjud and me, I went to Umrah and from Allah's side, and 50 nothing. Nothing. I see dreams and they materialize. From Allah's side. I'm just like you. You're not supposed to boost yourself. This is the couple. This is kibble. Right? And some people do that. They like to really apna jo value hai, they like to raise it. Cursing, sending la'na. Don't send la'na on objects and people. Don't send la'na on objects or people. Desis like to do this a lot. Send la'na to their kids and all that stuff. Probably don't know if Arabs or not, but does it happen in Arab families? Right? It happens. There's a hadith of Sahih Muslim where Rasulullah ﷺ was going with some of the Sahaba and somebody's camel was tripping out. So the Sahabi cursed his camel. Nabi ﷺ said, where's that mal'oon camel? So here, Nabi ﷺ said, this is not traveling with us. Sahabi was like, Ya Rasulullah, it's not with my camel, man. Prophet ﷺ said, why did you give la'na to it? You people give la'na to your family, your children, your wealth, and then it comes back and bites you. It hurts you. Don't give la'na to other people. Don't curse other people. Don't do dua against other people as well. Try to avoid this. Very last resort type of thing. You know, one of the saints said that Hajjaj bin Yusuf, he killed like thousands of Sahaba. He was an interesting guy. Interesting is because he also did good, which is that he put the theatrics in the Quran. So he gets all the ajr of that, but he also killed thousands of Sahaba. Anyway, Hajjaj, they said that, you know, Hajjaj, he will get the punishment for the wrong he did, but he will also get the reward of all the people that talk smack. Sometimes people commit sins and make mistakes, but our slander and backbiting of them changes their position of where they are. This is the last one. I'll end off on this one. There was a woman who committed adultery, and she was stoned to death. And while she was being stoned, her blood splattered on Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. And Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu was like, this is the father-in-law of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam Suyuti rahmatullah alayhi in his book Al-Hawil al-Fatawi, under the chapter Qatf al-Thamar fi Mawafiqat Umar, writes about 30 places where Umar radiallahu anhu gave an opinion and Allah reveals Quran to coincide with the opinion of Umar bin al-Khattab. لو كان نبي بعدي لكان عمر بن الخطاب. If there was a Nabi after me, it would be Umar bin al-Khattab. This was the man. He saw the blood get on him of an adulterous woman and he said, this Zaniya's blood got on me. And the Prophet said, God crossed. What did you say? لقد تابت توبة لو قسمت بين 70 من أهل المدينة لو وسعتهم وهل وجدت أفضل من أن جادت بنفسها لله تعالى عز وجل. Remember, what are you talking about? She did such a tawbah that if you were to spread that tawbah over the whole of Medina, Allah would have forgiven all of Medina. And I end off with this. Our deeds are weighed. On the Day of Judgment, the final thing that's done to our deeds is weighed, not counted. Just because you prayed more than someone else and did more visible good than someone else, it doesn't mean that you're going to be above them on the Day of Judgment. For it was the professional sinner whose legacy was prostitution, who gave water to a dog one time, and Allah forgave her, and she became the inspiration for every sinner. One action of her goodness, Allah raised it so high. And it was another woman who caged her cat and punished her cat. And Allah sent her to hell for it. Understand that. You don't know where you stand. No person should think I'm better than anybody. You should always think I'm the lowest and I'm the worst person, and be in that fear. Anyway, subhanakallah bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. We'll start Salah in about 5 minutes. We'll give Q&A time, but I just want to make obviously 2-3 announcements. Our Tarbiyah seminary for middle schoolers and high schoolers is starting this weekend. We have Arabic class for both the middle schoolers, high schoolers. We have Sirah, we have Adab that's being taught, and we have Arabic level 2. If you haven't taken level 1, you can still get admission to level 2. It'll just be a lot harder, but you still can. And then our Hikmah class, which is for 18 and up adults, is going to start from next Thursday. It's the history of fiqh, the evolution of fiqh, the 4 imams talking about usul principles. So for example, just to give you a quick little example, people will say, they'll argue and they'll say that, okay, weed, marijuana, is it, why is it haram? Whereas if it messes with your mind, so does coffee, right? And the Prophet said, "Kullu muftinin wa kullu muskirin haram." That everything that intoxicates you or everything that puts you in that state of mind, then it is haram. Well, there's a principle, there's a difference. It's called sadd al-dhara'i. And that is that closing the door. Coffee is not going to lead you to doing, it's not a gateway for worse things. Whereas marijuana is the gateway towards worse sins. So there's this principle difference that scholars have, these principles, and then we will go through different scholars' views and different principles and so on and so forth. But yes, inshallah, in a few minutes. Do sign up. You can check it on our Instagram, or ISRAFoundation.com, or Linktree. The classes are there. We'll give room for like 2 or 3 questions, inshallah.